we'll do a quick oh God. uh, for the recording, we'll just be doing a quick reintroduction of ourselves. Hi, I'm Fiona.
And I'm Alessia.
Okay, so what are clubs? Clubs are student-run organizations in UofT. There are over 1,000 different student-run organizations across all 3 campuses at UofT, and they cover a huge variety of focuses. We'll be going through some of the different types of clubs just after this. So why does getting involved matter? Why should you get involved at all? 1, you gain valuable experiences and skills, especially transferable skills that you might not learn in the classroom. They may also be useful in the future for work or for life. Joining clubs also gives you the autonomy to manage events or assets and to make practical decisions. So one of the, I think, most useful skills I learned from joining clubs is time management. You really gotta know when your events are, your meetings are, how much time to dedicate to other things, when your classes are, etc. What about you, Alessia?
Yeah, for me, getting involved helped a lot just to make a bunch of new friends and meet new people. I also did gain a lot of practical experiences from some of my involvement. I was a volunteer tax preparer with the UofT student union, the University of Toronto student union. So that really helped me, seeing as I'm going into accounting. So that just gave me a little bit of practical experience on everything and how to actually do taxes.
I feel like that's a big one for me. Number 2, you get to meet new people who you may not necessarily get to meet in your classes or on residence. Plus, people in clubs already have something in common with you. I mean, I met pretty much everyone here through orientation, so that's a plus. Okay, number 3, it's a great way to de-stress and to create a more rounded university experience. I mean, university is so much more than just academics, and joining clubs is a great way to explore your different interests as well. Like when I was in 2nd year, I volunteered at a cafe in Victoria College called Caffeines. Like any student can volunteer there. They're currently not open, but hopefully in September, fingers crossed, they will be. We got to learn how to make coffee, use an espresso machine, steam milk, and that was like the highlight of my week when I was in 2nd year.
Yeah, I have a similar sort of thing. Like when I was in 2nd year, I was part of Paradise, which is a board gaming club. So we would just on Fridays sit in St. Mike's and play board games. So you're just chilling, having a great time, forgetting about any stress or any assignments or anything, even for a little bit, an hour, 2 hours, and then you're just sort of having fun. Okay, so there are a bunch of different clubs throughout the university, and I'm going to give you a little look at a few broad overview topics, kind of clubs. Okay, so first up, we have some St. Mike's clubs. The few that I have included on the slide are Clean SMC, which is our environmental club. We have the St. Mike's Wellness Council, who deals with all things wellness and mental health related. They put on a bunch of different events and conferences throughout the year. Next, we have SMC Inclusive, which is our LGBTQIA+ club that hosts multiple events throughout the year. And finally, if you love playing Minecraft, we have a club for you. We have Build SMC, which is working to recreate the St. Mike's campus on Minecraft.
Love that.
Next, we have our student unions. So at the top, we have the University of Toronto Students' Union, or the UTSU, and they provide all U of T students with a multitude of different resources and services and events all throughout the year. Next, we have SMCSU, which is the St. Michael's College Student Union, and SMCSU works to ensure that all students' voices are heard and represented within the college. This year, I'm actually serving as one of your 9 current counselors as your VP of Communications.
Ooh.
Next, we have course unions. These are going to be directly related to the classes that you're taking. So on this slide, we've chosen to feature 4 of them. And we have the Rotman Commerce Students Association. We have the Book and Media Studies Students Union. We have the Classics Students Union and the Women and Gender Studies Students Union. If you're a writer, there's also student newspapers like the Varsity and the Mic that you can get involved in. UofT also has many spiritual and cultural groups that you can choose to join if you would like to meet other people that share the same culture, the same religion, or the same spirituality as you. St. Mike's Mentorship is one of the first groups that you're usually exposed to at the beginning of your university career. They are one of the main resources that help make that transition from high school or from the transition into university a little bit easier. You can check out their Instagram right now as they're currently releasing all their mentor profiles. Intramurals. So intramurals are different sports events that are put on with the help of SMCSU's VP of Athletics. The list of intramurals change quite often. It just depends on the year, depends on what can be hosted. But in the past, some of the sports that ran include table tennis, cornhole, badminton, amazing race, and spike ball. And like Sienna is saying in the chat, there's a bunch of different student unions. So there's, I believe, over 60. So you can take a look at that. Next, Hart House. So Hart House, which you can find in the heart of campus, is also home to many clubs, including the Hart House Archery Club, the Underwater Club, the Chess Club, and the Camera Club, just to name a few. So next we have the Center for International Experience. So this is going to be a really useful tool and resource, both if you're an international or if you're a domestic student. International students are encouraged to reach out to them for information regarding COVID protocols and more information needed about returning to Toronto in the fall. And the Center for International Experience is also where students can go when researching and applying for different learning abroad opportunities and programs.
So we've gone over the different types of clubs UofT has to offer. How and where can we find out about these clubs? So one place we can look at is ULife. ULife is a directory of student clubs, organizations, activities, and opportunities available at UofT. On ULife, you can filter and explore clubs by interest and group type. For example, if we click on group listings, then global interests, it lists out a bunch of clubs that are under this category. And if we go to MedLife, which is the club I'm part of, you see the club description, club contact details like its email, social media, its website, and everything you need to know about the club. You can find a tutorial on how to use ULife as well as other important links under summer workshop recordings and resources on Quarkus. Also keep an eye out on our Instagram because we feature different clubs every Monday. Also, all of these will be available on Quarkus.
Okay, Clubs Fair, excuse me, Clubs Fair is another very exciting time of the year. Almost all of the clubs at UofT have their time to showcase what their club specializes in during these events. So as of right now, you can expect to see 3 Clubs Fairs at some point in September. So there's going to be a club fair sort of event during a week. There'll be another one hosted by SMCSU, which will feature all of the SMC recognized clubs. And then another one organized and hosted by the UTSU, which will showcase all the other clubs throughout the university.
So how do I join a club? I'm going to highlight 4 different ways to get in touch with a club before joining them as a member. 1, reach out to the club through email or social media. Again, you can find these on ULife. You can let them know you're interested in getting involved with their club through there. 2, you can attend Clubs Fair to find out about the different clubs available. Also, keep an eye out for our all-week schedule to find out when Clubs Fair is. Chat with current members and executives. You can do this through social media again, and at Clubs Fair when you visit a club's booth. Go to their events to see whether it's a good fit for you. Club events are also a great way to bond with others who are also interested in the same things as you, plus you get to learn something new at the same time. And after all of that, if you think the club's a good fit, go ahead, sign up as a member of them.
Okay, starting a new club. So although there are already a ton, over 1,000 clubs at UofT, if you have an idea for a new club, something that you don't see, you can create a new club. So creating a club can happen at any point throughout the year. If you want your club to be recognized by SMCSU, meaning that you can receive funding from the student union, the club recognition process happens once a year in July. So it's finished for this year, but although it's over, you can always create your club, go have a year of sort of recruiting people and having a great year. And then next July, you can go through the SMCSU recognition process. So the steps for that whole thing are as follows. First, you visit the SMCSU website and you download all of the club rec documents. Second, new clubs will need to collect a list of at least 25 members at the time of application, and at least 5 of those members have to be executive members. And finally, if you adhere to all the bylaws, submit everything on time, then the club rec board will review your application and you may be able to receive some funding. Okay, so now we're gonna just give you a master list of resources and they're all gonna be on the next slide. This list is also gonna be available to you through Quarkus. So here are your resources.
So I think there was someone who mentioned they wanted to know how to join sports teams. Over here, you can see Intramurals. To join a CMX team, you can contact the SMCSU's VP of Athletics. The email is there. Or IM Leagues for more information about other intramurals. Hey, and before we move on to the Q&A, we just want to let you know what's happening in the next workshop. The next one is academic resources and will be happening on August 14th from 10 to 11 a.m. EST. During this workshop, we'll be highlighting all the resources UofT has to offer for you to reach your full academic potential. And on to the Q&A. Feel free to unmute yourselves or type out your question in the chat box.
Yes, also Marie, if you could please put back the form again in the chat, perfect. If you guys want to drop your questions in there and make them anonymous as well, that's totally great. We actually already have a few questions in, so we can start with those. And then as Fiona said, you guys can put them in the chat, speak aloud, or add them to the form as well. But the first question is, how involved do you recommend that a first year get with extracurriculars?
Alyssa, do you want to take that?
Sure. So in my first year, I wasn't too involved, and I feel like I went to different meetings, but I think I was only part of maybe one club. I think I was only part of Paradise at the time. I was as just like a member because I would just go and play games, and that sort of made you a member. But I also sort of had this notion in my mind that because I'm a commuter student and it takes me like an hour and a half to get to school, that I couldn't be an exec, which is not true, that you can still do all that commute and sort of be in these clubs. So I recommend maybe in first year joining one club, maybe 2 if you think you can handle that bandwidth. But number 1 is sort of school always comes number 1. So make sure that you can always do school and handle both of them at the same time. I don't know if you want to add anything onto that, Fiona.
Yeah, I also wasn't too involved when I was in first year. I was only part of a dance group, and like even then I wasn't like as dedicated to it because I was prioritizing my academics. But honestly, I feel like I should have gone for more stuff. I think it would have been fun. Also, just to answer a previous question, I know you are part of Paradise. Do you know what games they play at Paradise?
Okay, so Paradise over the past year has been on Discord, and I'm not 100% sure what they were playing on during the virtual year. But before that, when we were in person, we had a bunch of board games. So some of the ones that we used to play all the time are Anomia, they had like all the board games. There's Monopoly, there's like the Monopoly card game, there's like Risk, a bunch of, if you can think of a board game, it's probably there. There's like 4 big bins, like the big moving bins full of board games. So
Wow. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Okay, next question. Are we allowed to try out for Varsity Sports? If if so, how do we? Yes, you can try out for Varsity Sports. Joseph, do you happen to have more information about this? I'm not very involved with sports, to be honest.
From what I know, the best ways that each team will have like a website, you can find contact information of the coaches there and to contact them directly with the emails. That's the route that I would recommend doing so. But I know that I think all sports teams at UofT at the varsity level have open tryouts. So for the sports that are in the fall, like for example, soccer, those might have already passed or upcoming very soon. So for fall sports, definitely check right away. And for winter sports, I'm sure they're a little bit later during the school year.
Another thing that you can do is Google who the coach is, and you can reach out to the coach and let them know that you're interested. I know some varsity athletes who in the year before their season started, they were able to attend a few practices and get a feel for the team.
Are intramurals more casual? Compared to varsity, yeah, I would say it's more casual. Did they have Warhammer or Battletech? I assume these are games.
I'm
Do you know
gonna,
if they did?
Yeah, board games.
yeah,
Okay,
I'm
cool.
not 100% sure. I feel like when we were there, we would always play the same like 3 games. So it was just like anomia or sort of nothing. But there's a lot. There could be those games. And if not, you can always give a recommendation to maybe purchase those games.
True. Okay, do club meetings usually take place in the late afternoon/evening? And how do you manage attending or organizing events on a day of classes? I can start this one off. Club meetings, typically we would try to accommodate everyone's schedule or timetable when organizing club meetings. Sometimes they're in the afternoon, sometimes they're in the evening. It really depends. How do you manage attending? Okay. Again, we also try to accommodate everyone's schedule. We usually have it when most people are free. So yeah. Anything to add on, Alessia?
Yeah, I think club meetings sort of happen all throughout the day. I've had multiple SMICSU meetings that have been at 8 a.m. And continue to be at 8 a.m. So they sort of happen whenever. Usually whoever's in charge of organizing the meeting, like Fiona said, works to see when the majority of people are free. And then attending events, not only events that you're like part of and hosting, but you can attend sort of any event whenever you're free. For SMC specifically, most of the time when you go into the coop, which is one of the buildings on campus, there will be an event or there will be something happening. So you could just go in, meet new people. Organizing events on days of classes, I don't recommend organizing it while you have a class if you're sort of the head organizer. Like if it's your event, usually try to do it on a time that you don't have anything so that you can be there and you can actually enjoy what you're planning.
If we develop our own board games, can we bring them to the club to beta test? 1, that is super cool. 2, sure, I don't see why not. You can just tell whoever's in the club, like, oh, I have my own board game, wanna try it out. I'm sure they're more than happy to do so.
Yeah, they're really great. I don't know how it's possible, but they know every single rule to every single game. So they can just pick it up quickly. So I don't see a problem in that.
How do we join the SMC Intramurals teams? Like we mentioned before, let me just go back a few slides. To join or create a team, you can contact SMCSU's VP of Athletics. The email is there if someone wants to drop that. in the chat, please. Thank you.
I'll go to a question from the forum next. Another question that we have here is, how have clubs and extracurriculars shaped your university experiences?
That's a great question.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I think that joining clubs, one has increased my exposure to other people and I suppose like activities, but I think I had a lot of self-growth in terms of like soft skills through clubs, which is pretty valuable in my opinion. Like again, I think I learned to manage my time a lot better with more things on my plate and knowing how to set those boundaries for myself, which is very, very important because you don't want to be saying yes to everything, then like have too much going on, then you kind of get stressed. Yeah, so I did learn to set boundaries for myself as well with other people. Popcorn this over to Alessia.
Okay. I pretty much going to just reiterate what I said earlier about it really helped me make a lot of friends and meet a lot of new people. When I came to university, nobody from my high school chose UofT. So it was just, or like chose or St. Mike's. If they did choose UofT, they were at a different college. So I was pretty much like alone coming into this whole new experience, this whole new journey. But through orientation, especially through just sitting in the coop, sitting with people, just sort of putting yourself out there, which I know could be a little bit of a difficult thing to do, especially if you're more shy. But just walking up to people, I would say more like on St. Mike's campus, you can meet a lot of new people, a lot of really great people that'll sort of become your little St. Mike's family and your sort of your support system, things like that. Also, again, with learning real world skills, I learned how to do taxes. I learned when I was volunteering with that. I'm learning a lot of really good things throughout orientation, especially when I was a leader for the past 2 years. We go through a lot of training that is really helpful and really good. Get a lot of new and amazing resources through that.
Yeah, +1. I also came here without anyone. Like I didn't know anyone in Canada. Thought it would be fun to come to a place where I didn't know people. So clubs were a really great way for me to form my own community and support system, as you said, Alessia.
Yeah, everybody's always there. That's how you know that
Yeah.
everybody's sort of going through the same thing. So you don't really need to be shy because sort of everybody is shy. So the one person who's not shy just like breaks the barrier of shyness. I don't even know if that's but like it just wipes everything out and then everybody's sort of a very chill environment.
Does the club experience, or can club experience be used in resume for work and internship applications depending on the club? Okay, I'll start this off. Yes, 100%. If it's relevant, then go ahead and use it in your resume. I have done this for multiple jobs and internships I applied for, and they've been very useful, especially for someone who has zero experience, they say.
Yeah, I definitely agree. On my my personal, like my resume, being the VP of I'm not VP of academics, VP of communication, is a really big thing. I know that in a bunch of interviews for internships that I've gone to, that's one of the main things that they ask me about, especially because you learn the whole time management thing, you learn how to work with teams, how to manage teams. So it's really good. Even just putting it on your LinkedIn, if you have a LinkedIn, and it's something that you don't want to put on your resume. Most employers look at LinkedIn. I don't know if that's just coming from me as a Rodman kid that I'm like, LinkedIn is number one, but if you could just put it on there and then you just have that as another little thing.
I'm going to jump in for a sec because you mentioned LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn tutorial on our Quirkus page, so check it out. And also, like, I'll just chime into on that. Like, I think it's important for like for clubs, like anything is useful. Even if it's like something totally random, like you might say like you're applying to a job in like business, but like it's a dragon boat club, like that's super cool. So like literally anything that you join, like that highlights your uniqueness, and people want to see that you're a unique person. That's your own self. So whatever club you have, definitely highlight it.
And it could also help in an interview. If they, let's say they did Dragon Boat when they were in university, now you have a bonding topic that you can just talk about. And then they might like you even more because they were a Dragon Boater, or they were on Paradise, or they did something. So there's that too.
We got another question in the form here. It asks, how do you balance clubs, classes, and all things that are involved in university life?
Ooh, that's a great question. I guess I'll start it. I'll start it off. Having my biggest in first year, I didn't have an agenda. So I was all over the place. I went from an agenda all throughout high school and then just no agenda. I don't know why I didn't buy one, but like buy an agenda and have everything written out, or have a schedule. You can even do it on Google Calendar. I know that's something Sienna showed me how to do in first year. Have everything sort of color coded, but as long as you sort of lay everything out so you know what you're doing when you have classes, when you have some free time, just sort of managing your time. That's my number one thing. Just plan everything, write it down.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm someone who time blocks, so I kind of schedule out like my entire life. I also set priorities for each day and week so that I know what I should be doing first or prioritizing, so that I don't know, like stress myself out last minute about events or assignments. But oh, I use this planner called Notion. I don't know if you all know that, but it's basically a platform where you can customize it to have like to-do lists, calendar, Kanban boards. It's been very, 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 very useful for university. Yeah, plus
Awesome.
it's free for students.
That's a pro tip. Definitely check that out. The next question we have from the forum is, are there any specific requirements to join clubs?
I can take this one on. Typically, no. If they do have any requirements, they would like say so. For example, if you're applying to be like a social media exec, maybe they want to know whether you've had any experience managing accounts, that kind of thing, perhaps. But there usually isn't really a barrier to join a club, really.
Yeah, just to sort of echo that, the only, from my own experience, when you have to have like certain requirements is more if you're in an exec position. But most of the time it's just signing your name up and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Perfect. The next question here is, where can I learn more about getting involved in UofT clubs aside of St. Mike's?
ULife is a good place because like all the clubs across all 3 campuses are there. So definitely explore that website. You could also check out like UTSU's Instagram account, join Facebook groups about clubs and events at UofT. Many people promote their events through there. So that is also a good place to explore different things happening.
Yeah, I believe the UTSU Instagram does have a like club showcase. So most of the clubs, well, a bunch of the clubs on the SMC, like the orientation Instagram, are not SMC specific clubs. I don't believe so. But the UTSU Instagram sort of has clubs from all over campus.
Or you could ask friends, upper years, about different clubs they're part of. Maybe you'll find something interesting there.
The next question in the form is there such thing as joining too many clubs?
I want to say yes and no.
Yeah, that's
Um,
literally what I was thinking.
Yeah, yes, because maybe I remember in first year we had clubs fair and I was going to like every single booth, putting my email down, and like 1 week later I got like 60 different emails from like 60 different clubs. That's like the yes aspect of it. No, because like I would say like 9 times out of 10 you don't go to all of those clubs that you signed up for. You go to what you're interested in, or at least that was what I did.
Yeah, I sort of agree. I think the only sort of yes would be if you sign up and then you go to all of them and then you let everything else slip because you're going to all the other to every single club meeting. But if you can even just that first week or first few weeks when everything's still a little bit quiet in with your classes, maybe you pop into a few different meetings, see what you like, see what you don't really love as much, and then just continue to go to the ones that you love. So then it'll kind of naturally filter out the ones that you want to go to and the ones that you don't.
Mhm.
Excellent. So the next question is, what is the typical time commitment for a club?
I can take this one on. It depends. It's like what you signed up for. Usually, if you're not a member or like a general member, very low time commitment, maybe like 1 or 2 hours a week. Or you may not go to events every week if they do have events every week. As an executive, definitely more hours. I mean, like off the top of my head, when I was like a general exec, maybe 6 hours per week, sometimes less, sometimes more. Really depends on the club and what's happening that week. As co-pres, it was 10 to 12 hours a week, maybe more if there was an event happening. But yeah, there are like different tiers for time commitment depending on like what your position is in the club.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. From my experience on SMICSU, it's sort of 5 to 10 hours depending on when you do your stuff. So my role is VP of communication. So most of my time is sort of creating different posts and things that'll go up. So it depends when you do it. Sometimes I'm just like I have a show on in the background, and then I'm just researching, making a post, doing things like that. So you don't even sort of register that you're doing it. So it doesn't really feel like you're doing 10 hours or to 10 hours of work. But it definitely depends on what you're doing. I know some like that's an exec position, but in second year when I was on the formal committee for our like formal first SMICSU, that is a specialized committee. So something like that would be a lot more time, because in my role there, I was calling different balloon people and different halls and different florists. So that takes up time, but it really depends what, like Fiona said, what position you apply for. General members, usually it's just a meeting or an event or something short once a week, twice a week.
Yeah, you could also ask the club members or executives what their time commitments are like. I remember when I was co-president of a club last year, I told people what their time commitment was going to be like if they did join the club. So you could ask them too.
Perfect. Let's go to the question in the chat next.
Yeah.
It says, how did clubs adapt to the virtual environment? What was the experience like? I'll ask that part first, and afterwards, then the second part is, do you think most clubs will be in person this year?
Okay, I guess I'll start. So once everything like pandemic wise hit, we were all sort of forced to switch everything over really quickly. I'm going back to SMICSU and formal because we had to cut, like the last day that we were in school was the 13th of March in 2020. And our formal was actually the 14th of March. So we had all the preparation and everything, and we had to sort of cancel that. So big events like that sort of slip through because we couldn't host it, but other sort of clubs and events, we all sort of moved on to Discord or Zoom. There's a lot of Zoom meetings, a lot of Zoom events, which we tried to bring all the energy, like we're all trying now to bring all the energy over the Zoom event. But so you can have a lot of fun. I know we've had a lot of fun in a lot of past meetings and events, but you just have to you have to be very excited to be there too. So you can only have one half of the people being excited. But we did it seamlessly. Everything moved online.
Yeah, just to add on to that, quite a few groups also created like a Discord server, just so that people can still remain connected. Yeah, it was challenging to transition everything online because you do have to adapt your events to an online environment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the one benefit of being online is that it's accessible for everyone. Like you don't have to be on campus to go to this event. You can be at home or like at the beach or wherever you want, really. What was the second part of this question?
It was, do we think there's going to be mostly in person this year? And I think that it is going to be dependent on whatever the government says. So right now, I think we're allowed to have, there's a certain amount of people that you can have in person. So right now, St. Mike's is hosting some events in person that you can go to. They're smaller events. They're sort of like testing, having events. But hopefully if we're allowed to be in person, then there'll be in-person events and clubs will be in person, but it can change at any moment, depending on whatever sort of Ontario health announcement we get.
Yeah, I'm also hopeful that it will be in person, but if they're not, they will probably be online instead. Okay, next question. Can you sign up for student clubs groups from right now by reaching out to their socials, or do you have to wait for September? You can reach out anytime you want. Many clubs accept members on a rolling basis, so you don't have to sign up at a certain time, month, or like week. But I do highly encourage you to just reach out whenever you feel like it. They're more than happy to answer questions, get to know you.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. That's pretty much exactly what I would say. Send them a DM on Instagram or a message Facebook or an email, something, and somebody will answer you.
Yeah, for sure. No worries.
All right, great. We have another question in the form here. How do I join clubs if I'm shy or I'm a commuting student?
I feel like the commuting student one, Alessia, might be a better person to take on. If you're shy, then I feel like I can't really speak to this because I'm not really that shy. But I guess I just recommend that you reach out, or if you really want to, you can bring a friend with you to talk to whoever is at the club and you can join together. I did that with one of my friends, Shiropa, who is not here today. But yeah, I kind of dragged her along with me and we ended up joining a club together and becoming execs together. Yeah, so joining with a friend is a good way. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else right now.
I also cannot speak to being shy because I am naturally just a very loud person. I don't know if loud means just not shy, but I'm just loud. So anywhere I go, people look at me because I just talk very loud. But I would say everybody, from what I remember in first year, again, long time ago, everybody is sort of scared. Everybody is shy. It's a new environment for a lot of people. And especially people like me who came in with sort of nobody with me, like no friends. It's a good way to make friends because everybody is scared. So if everyone is scared together, that's something you can bond over. I know in my orientation group, I walked in, I'm like, okay, like I'm really scared to be here. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I started talking to the person that was beside me, because it was in person. And they were like, yeah, I'm like really scared. I don't want to be here. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then we just bonded over being scared. And now we're friends. So
Love
there's
that.
that. And then in terms of being a commuter, I guess it's the same sort of thing. I know that my commute is sort of long-ish. I know a lot of people that have longer commutes if they have to take the TTC and then the GO train and then the GO bus. There's a lot of different things, but you can sign up for a club, and most clubs will sort of accommodate you being a commuter student. I know, again, for Paradise, the way that my classes just worked out was I had a 1-hour tutorial on Friday mornings, and it takes me an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to school. So I was on a train for longer than I was in a tutorial. So I went to Paradise after, because that was the rest of the day until I took the train back, or the subway back, at sort of 5 o'clock. So maybe trying to either join a club that has meetings or has events on a day that you're downtown, or just sort of letting them know, the execs or whoever you're working with, that you're a commuter student. So you might not be at all the events, but you'll try your best to go to all the events. They'll be really accommodating most of the time. All the time.
Perfect. We have another question here. Is there a student government for the whole school, or a student government only for your respective colleges?
There's both.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Alessia is part of SMXU, so I will pass it over to her.
Okay. So there is, at our level, like at the St. Mike's level, there's SMXU, and then every university has a different student union that, not every university, every college within the university has a student union. And then sort of above all of those is, well, not above, but in the different sort of ranking of size, there is the UTSU, which is the University of Toronto Student Union, which a lot of people can get involved in. I know Sienna is involved in that this year. So there's both, and you can choose which to get involved in. Don't know if you can get involved in both, but you can choose either one.
Just to add on, there's also student unions for your programs. For example, I'm in the chemistry student union. There's a whole bunch for book and media studies, history, medieval studies, etc.
Yeah, the course unions are really important, and that'll help you meet people that are actually sort of in the same courses that you're in. And then you can, as Anna's saying here in the chat, the course unions will advocate for the students' academics.
They're basically the voice of the students in that course. And overarching the course unions is ASSU, the Arts and Science Student Union.
Sounds great. Okay, we have one final question in the form. After that, we'll wrap up. But if anyone has any last questions, please do put them in the chat or the form now before we wrap up. But the final question is, do either of you have any clubs that you recommend that we research?
I can go first. This depends on what you're interested in. The clubs that I was or is part of in first year was the Only Human Dance Collective, because I used to dance. They also have weekly workshops during the weekend, so that fit my schedule as well. Second year, I was part of an environmental club called Green Up Initiative, who I also became co-pres of the next year. What else did I do? Oh, Chemistry Student Union and MedLife were the other ones that I was part of. I kind of just joined other random club events whenever I see them. For example, SMXU's events or SMC Wellness, I kind of just turn up, vibe with everyone, then leave.
Yeah, and I guess for me, sort of when I I'm part of things. I go like for the big events, or for the big things.
Mhm.
So usually what I'm part of is orientation, leader, marshal, whatever. That usually starts, the whole process starts in January, February, so at the beginning of the year. So you have a few months, and then you can sort of join to start that. Paradise, I know it's something that I talk about a lot, but I really love it because I really love the fact that you can just be in a club and just play games, and you don't even feel
Mhm.
like you're having like a huge commitment to anything, but you are, sort of thing. And it's, again, really fun. SMICSU, we have committees. Each of the like big counselors, so all 9 of us, have a committee, and those, we are accepting applications on a rolling basis this year. So
Oh.
at sort of any time you can apply. We had sort of one big round first to open everything up, but now you can apply whenever. Since I'm communications, if you ever need something, you can just send me a DM on Instagram. So, and I'll know to go check that link, and then we can sort of set you up with an interview. And that's it. The other things I've been part of were the tax volunteers, but that's sort of just 3 months from sort of February to April. Is that 3 months? That sort of tax time. But just join sort of anything. I know I'm also part of IUSCA, which is the Italian student union, the Italian students student union, something along those lines. And I just do the same thing as Fiona, though. I just go to events. If I see that there's an
Mhm.
event happening, I'll show up, ask questions, see if I could join. And most of the time,
Mhm.
whoever's there will just like let you join.
Yeah. If you do have like a certain type of club you're interested in, like environmental clubs, you can always filter the groups on ULife. That's another way to explore them.
Okay, fantastic. We had one last question about like SMICSU and UTSU and like about like getting involved in first year, but unless you just answered that as well through your last
Yes.
statement, which is perfect. We are at 11, so we're going to wrap up now. I will pass it off to Sienna to close us off.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Fiona and Alessia, for such an awesome presentation. And thank you, Joseph and Marie, for supporting them in their Q&A. Just a few reminders going into the end of this week. Number 1, there is a follow-up Q&A for this workshop happening on Wednesday at 9 p.m. The link is on Quirkus under Zoom links under the orientation structure module. Additionally, tomorrow we have another social. It's only for first years. It's for you to meet other first year incoming students. And the link for that is also on Quirkus under Zoom links. And then please check out our announcements. Fiona's team, which is Alessia and Fiona and Sophie and Roxanne, they're running an Instagram contest right now called Where is Basil? All of the instructions can be found on our Instagram and also in the announcements section on Quirkus. So please be sure to check that out and get entered into a raffle to win some custom sweatshirts. That's all from me. Anything else, Fiona, Alessia, Joseph, Marie?
No, I think I'm hoping to see a lot of you getting involved. That's
Yeah,
it.
same here.
Awesome. Amazing. Alrighty, I am going to end the recording here.